Welcome back to Invasion of the Podcasters, where we crack open the vault of mysteries, legends, and shadows that creep just beyond our understanding. Tonight, we're diving into something that most of you have probably never heard of, a cryptid said to stalk the caves and waters of the Great Lakes region, a creature whispered about in stories, blamed for strange disappearances, and even tied to ancient pictographs carved into stone. They're called the Mannegishi, and their legend is one of the strangest and eeriest tales to come out of North America. I'm Mothmanda.
I'm Dr. Sokka.
I'm Wild Child.
And this is the story of the Mannegishi. When people talk about cryptids in Canada, they usually mention Sasquatch or the Wendigo. But tucked in the shadow of Ontario's forests and the endless waters of the Great Lakes is a name passed around in hushed tones, the Mannegishi. The earliest whispers of them don't come from modern sightings, but from land itself, along the rocky shores of Lake Superior and Lake Ontario. Archaeologists and explorers have documented pictographs, images carved or painted into stone, that have depicted tall, thin figures, elongated arms, and humanoid like shapes. Some believe these markings belong to the early First Nations tribes, although others claim the figures resemble something different. In 1879, an Ontario settler named Thomas Greaves reportedly came across a cave near Thunder Bay. Inside, he described scratches and crude images on the rock, unlike patterns of Ojibwe or Cree. He noted one figure in particular, a stick-like body with long bending arms and an orb-like head, surrounded by small lines that looked like wings. Graves wrote in his journal, "It reminded me of the whirring of dragonflies in summer, though there were none in that cold, damp cavern." The details, the sound, becomes important. Because of the Mannegishi, according to generations of stories, make the same sound as a dragonfly, a strange mechanical buzzing that can rise and fall suddenly in the night. Campers near Lake Huron in the 1960s reported being kept awake by what they thought was an unusual swarm of insects, only to discover no dragonflies were present, and one hiker described it as a vibration in the bones, like something was hovering just out of sight. The creatures themselves are said to come in two distinct forms. The first, the hairy ones, stocky with coarse dark fur, and usually reported in caves around northern Ontario. These Mannegishi are said to be territorial, lurking at the entrances of caves, leaving claw-like markings in the rock walls. Miners in the 1920s working near Sudbury reported missing tools, ropes tied to impossible knots, and strange whistling that turned into buzzing when they entered the darker shafts. The second, the slender ones, pale, hairless, and almost amphibious in appearance. These are most often connected to the lakes and rivers. Fishermen along Lake Erie told stories of seeing long figures slipping beneath the water's surface, just out of reach of lantern light. In 1932, a Toronto paper reported on a group of canoeists who believed that they were followed for over an hour by something thin, pale, and fast moving beneath the waves. The Mannegishi are also said to be mischievous tricksters, something unlike the terrifying brutality of the Wendigo, the raw strength of Sasquatch. The Mannegishi play games. They move objects when campers aren't looking, they untie boats, leave carved stones in tents, and mimic human voices. One legend from the Nisiping region tells of a group of hunters in the early 1900s who heard their own names being called from the shoreline, only to find no one there. The only thing they remembered was the faint buzzing of dragonflies as they left. The question then becomes, where do they come from? Some researchers suggest the Mannegishi were once mistaken for indigenous peoples, their pictographs blending into early art and tradition. But others insist that the figures are too strange, too alien. One controversial theory is that the Mannegishi predate even the First Nations settlement in Ontario, that they are a remnant species, a hidden branch of humanity, or something far stranger. There are also whispered connections to otherworldly origins. In 1976, a man camping along the north shore of Lake Ontario claimed to see the lights hovering over the water, followed by the sudden buzzing of dragonflies at night. He woke to find the claw-like scratches on the side of his canoe, and he told the Peterborough Examiner, "I don't know what I saw. All I know is the noise came first, and then when it stopped, I felt watched."
So it's kind of like, to me, it seems like almost like alien.
There's speculation that these are actually probably closer related to the Dover demon down in the U.S., as there are very similar pictographs on the U.S. side of the border than the Canadian side. So it's more like, are they a genetic link that's been lost, or are they a protector of the forests that are similar to a leprechaun or a fairy folk?
I don't know anything about. I've never heard. Wild Child, have you ever heard of these things?
Nope. not at all. I'd have to ask my friends from Ontario, see if maybe they have, because they would definitely be able to tell me.
I have heard of them, but I'm from Manitoba, so it's very similar, very
Uh,
close. I used to go into Ontario quite frequently, so it was something that came up. And like I said, they have connections to other cryptids that they think they might be in the same kind of vein of. So, now that being said, to this day, these stories persist. Cavers in Ontario still talk about sudden buzzing sounds deep underground. Fishermen still tell of pale shapes that vanish beneath the Great Lakes. Some even claim that the Mannegishi leave small offerings stacked stones, twisted reeds as if mocking human rituals. The truth is, we don't know. The evidence, pictographs, journals, sightings remain tantalizing but fragmented. Are the Mannegishi undiscovered species, a cultural echo mistaken for something else, or are they, as some have whispered, warning us to stay away?
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's interesting. So, like, how long have they been around?
Thousands of years? Because some of these stone carvings date back just that long?
Thousands of years?
Thousands of years. Predating Korean Ojibwe
Wow.
cultures.
how many dens have they found?
It's just along the oceans and where there's like caves off of water, they've found pictographs. Now that being said, they, like I said, they have found ones over the border. They have found very similar markings in other countries. So that's why they think it's either potential alien or a related species.
Now you said something about dragonflies. Like they almost make a dragonfly like noise. What are they like? Insect like? Are they?
No, they think it's just the noise that they make when they're hunting or when they're trying to scare people away because of the mischievous nature of their kind. So a lot of people will hear the buzzing before a prank is pulled, or they'll hear the buzzing before they're scared away. Now, that being said, people have gone missing and they have found mysterious carvings, the stones, things like that, in their effects, basically.
Right.
So that being said, do they take people who disrespect nature and yeet them into the oceans, which is kind of what they think happens, or
Well, isn't that more like Wendigo territory?
no? Wendigos are entirely based on breaking social taboos.
Like cannibalism?
Cannibalism being the big one, greed being another one, because eating constantly is a greed thing. So they're
Gluttony.
very different. They're far more violent in how they act, whereas Mannegishi are 100% more
Mischievous.
mischievous.
Okay.
But they don't want you around, so they're going to make sure that they scare you away. But it's hard to say whether they have any real
So
ill intent.
they're more like leprechauns than
Yeah,
trying to be the
100%.
mischievous then. Okay.
Yeah. Same
Seriously?
with the Dover Demon
Yeah.
and Spring-Heeled Jack.
I've never heard of the Dover Demon. What is that?
I'd have to do more research, but they do mention it quite a few times.
Another like mischievous.
Yeah, very mischievous, likes to play pranks. Only the Dover Demon's a little bit more aggressive in how he does it. So there is like throwing of things at people.
I
And,
see. I see.
yeah.
You mentioned that they would sometimes steal tools from campsites. Do they use tools? Like, are they capable?
There have been sightings, obviously, we don't know how credible they are, of the hairy natured ones being prolific hunters and fishermen.
Oh,
They're the ones that are more going to stray away from the water side and go into the forest, whereas the slender ones, the pale guys, are going to be more the aquatic ones. So, yes, the hairy guys have been seen with crude tools and boats and canoes. And now, whether or not the canoes come from the people they steal them from, I
right. Yeah. Or yeah. So okay, I guess my question is like, the hairy ones, right? Resemble like men, right? Kind of like they
yeah, more man
like they're
resembling.
humanoid.
Yeah.
So and they're tall.
No, well, mid-size.
Okay.
Yeah.
So could they be like
It's more the
perceived
aquatic
as?
ones that are the long, tall
Oh, I
guys.
see. I
The
see.
hairy guys are more like wild men.
So could they be perceived as like apes, maybe? Or I'm trying to create a link between
Them and Sasquatch.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
maybe.
what I was going to ask you. Is there a link between the two of them?
Now, that being said, there aren't many sightings of these creatures over on, like, say, the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
It's more an Eastern thing. And like I said, other
Or
countries have similar variations, but they are different in look. So it's hard to say, but I don't necessarily think based on their description that a Sasquatch in these, because these guys are very intelligent and use tools, whereas the Sasquatch, yes, they'll like bang on trees, they'll throw stones, but they're not in a boat.
Right.
And they're not pulling people underwater, and they're not.
So are they like
let's be honest, the only thing Sasquatches are intelligent for is stealing beer
yeah. Yeah.
And food, yeah.
And yeah.
and
So
food. Yeah.
are they would you like I know it's cryptid, right? So it's hard to like have all
Missing
the-
link between real and fake.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you're kind of like the cryptid queen. But like are they more man than like ape? Because the way they walk around, the pictures I saw of them like hunched on all fours.
But if you see any pictures you find where they're hunched on all fours, those are more of the aquatic shaped guys. They don't
Okay.
have hair. The guys that you see
Ah.
with the hair tend to walk slightly more upright when you look at the pictures,
Right.
based on obviously drawings, witness accounts, things like that.
Right.
So I would think they're probably not going to be mistaken for an ape or a.
Oh, okay, okay.
I maybe a dwarf like coming out of the mountainside with his hammer, but I don't know if they're going to be mistaken for a Sasquatch.
Friendly. Who's come to my cave?
Gimli comes out of a dark corridor somewhere.
Dobby. I see that. I look at them and I'm like, that. It looks like Dobby to me.
Now that being said, glowing orange eyes coming out of a dark cave, I'm out of there regardless of what it is.
Oh, they've got
so.
glowing.
The more underwater aquatic ones are said to have reflective eyes. So
Damn.
yeah, no thanks. I'm out
So
of there.
besides the hair and the eyes, is there any other difference between the two?
Well, I mean, the one definitely looks more humanoid, where is the other one is humanoid but off. So it has the arms, it has the legs, it has the body, it has the head, but the head, think more like gray aliens style.
Okay.
And in regards to the body, very smooth, kind of grayish, sickly looking, based on accounts. Most color they have is kind of like pasty, sickly.
Now,
Right.
Whereas the other ones, because they're have so much hair, it's hard to tell where the hair ends and person begins, but there is skin visible.
So
So,
what? How can they connect the two together if they're so like vastly different in size and?
similar pictographs
Oh, right,
found, and as well interaction between the two groups. There have been like cases again,
Right.
how real, of the two interacting. So they just assume greater group, but one is more adapted than the other.
So they have some
Now-
kind of level of intelligence then.
Yes.
yeah,
Right,
obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they're able to be like tricksters, I
Yeah,
would say they
and
have
use
to have
tools. That's
and
scary.
know how to fish and know
Yeah.
how to hunt.
Yeah.
So
and
that would make them a
pictographs.
social group then.
Very much so. Yeah.
Interesting.
And they're, like I said, they're found all along kind of the East Coast and down. And
Do they? Go ahead.
oh no, all good.
Do they have a particular odor? You know, like how the Sasquatch and everything does,
Oh,
like the
Sasquatch,
skunk
oh,
ape
yeah.
has.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Not that I've read
Just the noises of like
the dragonflies, and it's like that like insistent humming sound that like the wings would make. But there's never been any like, oh, I smelt this coming from the woods. That wasn't a Sasquatch sighting.
Right.
Now
Interesting.
that being said, they have said that there have been like markings left on trees, not necessarily the pictographs, but like similar art. So maybe just like markers of go this way for this, or
Right. Okay. Yeah. Don't Sasquatch are supposed to smell like urine or something?
I mean, they
Death.
don't smell pleasant.
I guess, yeah.
I've heard mold, I've heard dirt, I've heard wet hair. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wet dog.
Wet dog, yeah. Mold is the biggest one I've heard. Is like
Yeah.
rank mildew and mold. Sometimes fish. Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess.
Rotten meat, again, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Really bad Theo.
Probably.
No.
Probably. Yeah. Cool.
It's that sweaty nutsackism.
Yeah, buddy. That's swamp sack, dude.
Swass!
Swass.
Welcome to Invasion of the Podcasters, where we talk about the really sick shit.
Yeah, where we talk about swass.
Mm-hmm.
Swamp balls.
So, any other questions? We're
Nope.
gonna go look up some Mannegishi later and see what they really about.
Yeah, let's go catch one.
You flying to Ontario?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Nah.
Especially not Buckfuck, nowhere, Ontario.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Yeah.
No. Okay, well, I mean, what are the Mannegishi? Mysterious, mischievous cryptids lurking in Ontario's cave and waters, or survivors of an ancient race mistaken for spirits, or something entirely beyond our comprehension. Maybe they're nothing more than stories to explain strange noises in the night, but maybe, just maybe, they're still out there, buzzing like dragonflies, waiting in the shadows of the Great Lakes. This has been Invasion of the Podcasters. Thank you for venturing into the unknown with us tonight. If you've heard the buzzing yourself, if you've seen the shadows by the water, maybe you've already crossed paths with the Mannegishi. Sleep well and listen closely.